Hi Pisces, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. Make sure that you subscribe down below so you won't miss any further videos. So this will be a love and spirituality reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And I'll also be doing an extended video, and I will leave that in the description box down below. So when I was shuffling on your cards earlier, what I was getting was a lot of fear, and I was getting a lot of almost like psychic attacks, I guess you could say. It doesn't have to be psychic attacks. Another word for it could be like spiritual attacks. Just a lot of absorption of negative energy and that feeding your fearful thoughts. So be careful of who you're spending your time around. If you've been spending time with someone who's kind of like a negative person or a very low vibrational, kind of like energetic vampire type of person, they could be rubbing off on you energetically and causing you to have a lot of fearful thoughts. A lot of people don't understand, especially Pisces sign, a lot of people don't understand how serious energy is, meaning if you are around the wrong type of energy, or if you're around a very negative energy, it could actually start to affect the way that you actually think. It could actually plant thoughts into your mind, very fearful, low vibrational thoughts. And I say especially Pisces because we are such a sensitive sign and we are extremely sensitive to energy. That's why they say that Pisces are the most spiritual sign. So be very careful of that. So let's see what's going on for the past. Eight of Cups comes out again. When I was shuffling earlier, it came out for you as well. Six of Cups. Okay, a lot of emotion here. Ten of Cups. So all cups, all water, all emotions. So I feel like in the past, this Eight of Cups is in the reverse. So that means, well, when it's in the upright, that means coming to the realization that something is not causing you happiness. Something is actually doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do. Meaning, if you got into a relationship with the intention of making the other person happy and with the intention of them making you happy, it's like something happens where now the opposite is taking place. It's like you're bringing out the worst in each other, or one person is bringing out the worst in the other. Well, usually it goes both ways. Usually if one person is bringing out the worst in the other, the energy will boomerang and the worst of both people will start to come to the surface. So I feel like that may be what some of you were dealing with in the recent past. But with it being in the reverse, I feel like that's talking about knowing this, or kind of having the awareness of this, but not really knowing how to walk away, feeling kind of stuck or tied to a situation that you know is overwhelming you and that is causing you to kind of drown in your emotions, is what I'm hearing. The Six of Cups is here in the reverse as well. The Six of Cups is the past life card. It's also a card that talks about reconciliations, people coming back from your past and returning from your past, usually in a way that lets us review what we've learned from that person. So if we went through something very hectic with someone and they exit our lives and then they end up coming back like a year later, it'll usually give us a chance to either reconnect with them so that we can have something healthy now that both people have grown, or for you to see how much you have grown on an individual basis based off of what you learned from being in connection with that person. But I feel like with the Six of Cups in reverse, that didn't happen. Like, you did not have a reconciliation, and you probably wanted one. Because the Eight of Cups is here in the reverse alongside the Six of Cups, I feel like what that's saying is that not necessarily that you wanted someone to come back, because I feel like you never really left this person, or sorry, I'm just trying to wait for the message to come through. For some of you, it's multiple people I'm picking up on. For some of you, you actually did leave the person and you were hoping that they would come back and they didn't. Or you were hoping that you would be able to get back in good with them, and that didn't happen. Or for some of you, you never actually left the person, but you were like working very hard to try to get things back to the way they used to be, and it just wasn't happening. So just take it as it resonates. The Ten of Cups talks about there being a lack of emotional fulfillment between both people, meaning that neither person in the connection was happy. Neither one person in the connection was feeling like this was something that you can grow long term, or that it's something where both people's needs are being met. I feel like it's one of those situations where either one person's needs were getting met and not the others, or it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of an example. It's kind of like, okay, if you're with someone who is very Okay, I got one. When you are with someone who's very private about social media, right? And it's not because they're being sneaky, but it's just because they're just very private people. They don't like to post who they're with on social media, but your love language is all about public displays of affection, so you want to be posted. And it's like neither person is wrong because each person is just doing what they feel is right in terms of their relationships, and it's not coming from a negative place. But it's like you could see how both of those people, when they get together, it could turn into somewhat of a dysfunction or somewhat of a toxic energy because they operate on two different wavelengths and they do things two different ways. So it's kind of like you can either leave each other and go find someone who's more suited for you, or you could try to force each other to change and butt heads where neither person's needs are being met, or one person's needs are being met and not the other. So for example, the one who likes to post on social media, the other one might give in, like, fine, I'll post you, but that makes them uncomfortable. Or the other one might give in and say, fine, you don't have to post me, but that makes them uncomfortable. So it's like one person's needs got not getting met, and instead of walking away from the situation, both people trying to like force it, or one person trying to force it at least, and it just ends up with neither person being happy. So that is what I'm picking up. Let's pull for the present position. I do feel like it's very overwhelming with that Eight of Cups being there. I'm just getting like this energy of just feeling like you're just drowning in your emotions. Some of you could have actually left the situation and that's why you're drowning in emotions, because it's like sadness without the person. So let's see, because when Pisces, when we get invested, and I'm a Pisces moon, that's why I'm saying when we get invested, we get invested. So sometimes it can be, it depends on what else is in your chart, but sometimes if you have a prominent Pisces placement, it's kind of hard to detach once we've attached. So let's pull 3 for the present. The High Priestess in reverse. See, that came up when I was shuffling cards earlier too. That's what I meant when I was talking about psychic attacks. The High Priestess. Okay, now let me finish shuffling, then I'll explain. The messages just started coming through. This came up and I was shuffling earlier as well. Okay. And the Sun card. I'm glad that that's in the upright. That's positive. So I feel like I should move these up. So with the High Priestess card, the High Priestess in reverse is usually talking about psychic attacks. Well, not usually. That's just how I'm reading the energy right now. I feel like a lot of you are undergoing psychic attacks, so be very careful. Basically, psychic attacks, how would I explain this? It's kind of like letting your fears overwhelm your mind and your thoughts, and without getting too deep into it. Basically, if a lot of you are having a lot of fearful thoughts and you're very paranoid, you feel like you can't sleep, you're having nightmares, you could be undergoing some type of like psychic attack, spiritual warfare. And like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into it because if you're not well versed or if you're not aware of what these things are, it can sound more scary than what it actually is, because sometimes psychic attacks can literally just be our own thoughts, our own fearful thought forms that we have held on to for too long, to the point where they've kind of taken on a life of their own. So let's say, for example, you have been fearful of, you know, someone leaving you and never coming back. If you keep on thinking that over and over and over, and you feed that thought with a lot of fearful emotion for a long period of time, it could actually start to weigh your mind down and kind of like haunt you and plague you. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of your fears could be possibly getting the best of you. So usually when that's taking place, that could be a positive thing, because that can expose to you exactly where your healing lies or where you need to heal. So if it has to do with walking away, because the Eight of Cups is right underneath it. So if these fearful thoughts or like these nightmares and all these negative emotions are associated with walking away or not knowing how to walk away or feeling stuck to a situation, that could be a clear indication that there is some codependency involved in the connection. There could be some emotional abuse or emotional manipulation involved in the connection, because usually when you have a very, very strong toxic hold to someone, that usually means that there was some type of manipulation involved. Not always, but most times, yeah, because it's kind of hard to form a toxic bond or a strong trauma bond without both people playing a role in it. So if you are very attached to someone in a way that you feel like it's toxic, it's very it's a very good chance that they have played a role in it, meaning that they have done something to kind of hook you in, or they've done something to kind of keep you, how do I explain it? It's like, because a lot of people, when they're in this situation, the energy that I'm feeling, I feel like there's a lot of people who they get in these situations where they're stuck or they feel bound to a situation and they beat themselves up like, oh, it's all my fault. I should never opened up to this person. I should have set healthier boundaries, which is true. But at the same time, they don't really see how the other person has been kind of dangling the carrot in front of them. Like whenever they're about to leave, the other person is saying something that kind of keeps them stuck, or the other person is just kind of like, I think y'all know what I'm saying. It's like the other person is always doing a little something to try to keep you hooked, and when someone is doing that, that actually can cause a very strong trauma bond between you two. So you're thinking it's all you and it's in your head and it's all your fault that you're in the situation, but I feel like the other person could have played a very large role in it. It could also be, I'm getting that two people are codependently attached to each other, which also happens, and it's difficult for either person to walk away because they're just really addicted to the intensity of the connection. So be very mindful of that, of, like I said, your fears and them kind of taking on a life of their own and them kind of controlling your life, because that is just a clear indicator that there is something off about the connection, but also that there may be some abandonment issues or codependency that needs to be analyzed and evaluated within yourself. The Six of Pentacles in reverse talks about a time of coming out of feeling like you're being taken advantage of, because the Six of Pentacles is a card of imbalance. So one person getting more than the other and the other person just being kind of drained because they're overextending themselves. So I feel like in the present moment, this could be your energy, or this could be what you're being guided to do, to move away from situations where you feel like you are being depleted and drained. Pisces is a sign that is constantly trying to give and overextend, and I don't say this as a bad thing, because this could be a very positive thing. I feel like in the world, people need more Pisces on this earth, because Pisces have this way of just giving unconditionally. But one thing that we have to master is how to put boundaries in place when we are trying to give and we're trying to love unconditionally, because there are a lot of people who don't love and give the way we do, so they will take advantage of it. And I'm personally, as a Pisces moon, I'm always shocked at this. It's like no matter how many times people take advantage of me, I'm still like, oh my god, I can't believe someone would do such a thing. Like, I'm always shocked that people are not as selfless, or people are not, like, I'm always shocked that people that can be cruel or that can just take and not give. It's always shocking to me, and that's the essence of Pisces energy. It's kind of like we are very, like I said, it's like this unconditional love that we share, and we want to see everyone through a higher lens. We want to see everyone as their best selves, but sometimes we meet people's higher selves before they meet them, so we see them as the best version of themselves, and they can't even live up to it, or they feel like they can't live up to it. So I feel like in this instance, that's the energy that you're taking on, of kind of taking off those rose-colored glasses and seeing someone for who they actually are. With the Six of Cups being here in reverse, like I said, that talks about reconciliation, or that also could talk about past life or a past life connection, which can cause you to have rose-colored glasses, especially if it was a very strong karmic tie from a past life. It can cause you to have rose-colored glasses on, because it's like the strong emotion that has carried with you into this reincarnation. And if it's not, and if you're not someone who believes in past lives, it could also be just that someone reminds you of someone from your past. More than likely someone reminding you of your parents or the way your parents used to treat you, and naturally you're going to have rose-colored glasses on because you want to see them as like the love of your life. It's all about, I'm trying not to get too much into it because this video is going to be so long, but I'm getting an energy of traumatic reenactment. Like when you're dating your parents, you know how they say like people will be most likely to date their father, or date someone like their father, or date someone like their mother, and that goes for abusive parents as well. We're more likely to seek out partners who remind us of those parents, whether that be good or bad. And when we do that, naturally we're going to see that person in a positive light, because we're seeing them through the lens of how we see our parents. I hope that didn't sound creepy, but I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say. I feel like a lot of you are taking off those rose-colored glasses, and you are not wanting the reconciliation anymore, or you're now seeing that the reconciliation will not happen. And this is for the best. Even if you're not seeing that it's for the best, I feel like in the long run you are going to see it, and you're going to be happy that the situation did not come back into fruition. A lot of you are needing to also accept that the way that things were in the past between you and someone, you can't really go back. It's like after things, a certain amount of things have happened and certain types of things have happened in the connection, it's kind of hard to get back to that honeymoon phase. It's kind of hard to, you know, go back in time to when things used to be good. I know that we all want that. We all would like for that to happen, but sometimes things happen that make it so that you can't really go back, and you could either walk away or you could try to restart your connection in a healthy way, but it can never truly be the same. The Sun card being here in the upright is very positive. The Sun represents your soul, your essence, who you are truly as a person. And I feel like with the Ten of Cups being in the past right underneath it, it was talking about you having lost yourself or having lost sight of yourself, because it was a connection or a situation where you feel like you had to constantly settle. It's like the things that you know that you want and the ways that you know you want to be loved, that person couldn't give it to you, so you felt like you were constantly settling or constantly trying to change the situation or change the person, constantly trying to work at fixing something that it's like once it's broken, it's kind of broken. Sorry, my camera cut off for a second if the angle changed. But sometimes it's not about changing the other person, or it's about it being, or it's not about it being broken. Sometimes it's literally just two people who are just not on the same page. And when you're not on the same page, it's like, why try to keep forcing it and try to keep fixing it when you can just go and find people who are more suited for you, you know? And it's easier said than done when you are invested. But like I said, I feel like that's what you were feeling in the past, and now in the present with the Sun card, it's like you're stepping out of that energy. You are kind of finding yourself again, removing yourself from situations that you know are not helping you to grow on a spiritual level, that you know are not meeting your needs and you know are not fulfilling you. And this doesn't have to always do with a romantic partnership. This could be friendship, this could be family, this could talk about a career that was once not fulfilling to you and that you were giving too much into and not giving much back, and now you're off to find something better. So I feel like this is a positive thing. I feel like a lot of you are now realizing exactly what you want and also realizing exactly what you deserve, and you're about to go after it. I just feel like the High Priestess is a bit troublesome to me because, like I said, that I really get the energy of psychic attacks. So please don't let your fears get the best of you. Try to take deep breaths whenever you have fearful thoughts and think through things logically. I know that I've been through a time period where I was having horrible psychic attacks, and it lasted for like a good year, and it was one of the worst years of my life, because it's kind of like you just wake up out of your sleep feeling fearful, like having terrible dreams about the person, that they're about to move on to someone else and that they're about to get married. It's like so many fearful dreams, and that all comes from your own fearful thought forms of fearing abandonment, fearing that detachment, fearing losing someone, having that codependent tie with someone. And it's like your fears start to get the best of you and start to make you believe or think this person's going to move on, they're going to be happier without me, they're going to treat someone better than me. It's like I'm just feeling a lot of fearful, like spiritual warfare, psychic attacks for sure. So just be very mindful of your fears, because most of your fears are just that. They're just not irrational fears, but they are just fears that are showing you what needs to be healed within, and they're not necessarily truth or facts. So don't get your fears confused with your intuition. So let me pull 3 more for the future. And we're going to look at these in the extended. Temperance, that card was like dying to come out. Page of Wands, okay. Nine of Cups. So the Page of Wands to me is talking about, it's the center card, is talking about being optimistic and actually going on some type of journey. This could be actually traveling. Some of you are needing to get away or needing to take some type of vacation or break, but we'll look at that in the extended. The Temperance card is also here in the reverse. So again, that whole row is kind of bothersome to me because that talks about imbalance, and I feel like it's really a mind game. It's like your mind playing tricks on you and causing you to be imbalanced. So we'll look at that in the extended, and then the Nine of Cups is there in the reverse, and that talks about wishes that have not been granted, things that you once wanted in the past not coming into fruition. And before I forget, before I end this video, the Six of Pentacles is in the center, and what I've been doing is reading the center card for each sign just to get a clearer picture. See, Six of Pentacles, a clearer picture of the energy. So it says Six of Pentacles, keywords, internal joy and good fortune, but that's when it's in the upright. So we're reading for the reverse, for the shadow aspect of it. So it says, Shadow, you may be questioning your own success or feel as though you don't deserve it. Focus on the blessings around you instead of planting seeds of doubt. Repeat the mantra, I feel joy from my heart center. So if any of you are, because like I said, I do feel like there's a lot of doubt and fear, and it has a lot to do with the past situation, but it also has a lot to do with just the things that you feel like you deserve, the way that you look at yourself, the way that you show up in relationships. So it's a lot going on here. It's a lot going on, but overall I feel like with the Sun card being in the upright, that is a positive omen for this reading. That means that you are about to really get back in touch with what you want and what your soul wants for you, and you're about to get back on the right path. So that is it. Again, I will clarify these cards in the extended down below, and I will leave that in the description box. So yeah, I think that is it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys over on Vimeo. Bye.